even college, I came here. I spent 10 years, and I still call London home. London is partly responsible for everything that I do and who I am. So so I owe London a whole lot. But not only London. Like there's a lot of people here who are family, who are my parents, my mom, my dad, my aunts, sister, brother, son, nephews and loved ones, but friends also that are family. That's something that's important to me. And I can tell you, when I came here initially, I was lonely. There was not a lot of people here. I had a few family, but that's something that I wanted to. I said to myself, how could I actually create my own community here in London? And that's something that I always, think about. Something that keeps me awake a whole lot. And I set out and said, you know what? I'm going to see how I could actually get that done. And what I did, was, I prayed, I asked for inspiration, and God gave me that vision and said, you can actually do it. But what you do, in order to do it, you need to have the different pieces together. I'm a chess player. You need to put the different pieces, the pawns, the knight, the bishops, and everything together in order to you need to put the pieces together. So what I did, and what I had a mother here who who believed what I believed. I have a stepdad, who was brave enough to accept some of my crazy ideas, that I had. And one of the things I said, what if I bring my friends, from Jamaica, and come to the UK, and figure a way out how I can get them to stay and make a life, for themselves. Crazy idea. But I could tell you that crazy idea was the start of something beautiful. And Uncle Vince right here, I convinced them to actually put 2 beds in my bedroom, so I could take my first friend up. Clinton Williams, Jason. That was he was the first. And it's like a revolving loop. I take them, they get them a job, they go to college, they get their extension, and then I do it all again. I do it over again until I have friends that could help friends that that come and get their own place, that I could say, hey, can you I'm gonna bring somebody up, can you have them stay for 6 months or whatever it is, the time, so that they could actually do the same thing. And they were kind enough, because obviously they were helped to do the exact same thing. So that multiplied into hundreds and maybe thousands of people, in terms of giving them the opportunity to make something and make a life of themselves. I get the opportunity through education. Some of them didn't have that, but basically I try to figure out how I could actually move the needle and get them to the UK where opportunities are. And that's something that I'm immensely proud of. And I think for me, that's a legacy that I don't take for granted, because I see a lot of my friends' kids who are graduates from university, who are engineers, who are accountants, and who are amazing citizens, of the world. In which, I think that if it wasn't for that crazy idea, it wasn't for Vince and Mom, who were kind enough to allow this crazy kid to extend himself to help so many people. And the genesis of actually even doing that is really a gift from God, to say, what, when you're given the opportunity, it's a requirement to actually reach back and help folks, so that you can continue the cycle of actually uplifting and helping people. And this is what Grit to Glory is about. It's really about the opportunity to don't think that where you're from or where you're born, it's a death sentence. It's it's an opportunity to think that not where you're from, determines, what you become. And that's what it's talk about. It talk about grit. And I tell you what grit is. Grit is something that you can't teach. Grit is something that you feel and you experience. Is that integrity that you have, and that that type of mindset that you have, that it doesn't matter what challenges come in your way. It doesn't matter how difficult life is, or it doesn't matter the experience. In your mind that, listen, I am going to conquer it. It's always looking at the glass of, it's not even half empty or half full. It's looking at, I can fill that glass whenever I want to. It's also looking at to say, you know what, you have to accept fate over fear every time. And if they say no, listen, and I can tell you a whole lot of stories in terms of many people say no. There are many doors that I walk into and they try to close it. But I'm telling you, know that I am going to try to walk through that door or run through that door or find a window that I can actually escape, because I have to get in, and that's my mindset. I always tell them, it doesn't matter, people talk about racism, people talk about, the color of your skin, and, that's an impediment, and, that's going to, prevent you from breaking the glass ceiling. Hey, if you work hard enough, if you put your mind to it, there's absolutely nothing that's got people that we can't do. Nothing. It's the mindset. And that's something that we have to understand. That we have it in us. It's something that we were born with. It's something that our ancestors showed us. They show us, listen, that's something that we teach also. We can hustle, we can do anything. We can turn around and make fashion. That means basically that anything that we're given, we will take it and make something of ourselves. So we were taught, and it's in our ancestry to hustle. But what we do and what we need to do as black people is to change that hustle into systems, change that hustle into something that's structured, change that hustle into something that we can create a template for, so that we can pass it on to different generations. Because at this time, it's not only about us, it's about our kids and grandkids at this time. It's about getting them education so that they can raise the bar, and we continue to raise the bar and show them how to do it. So the situation is that I'm gonna read a poem from this book. And the poem I always, in both of my books, I actually wrote a poem. And this book, Grit to Glory poem, really just encapsulates exactly what growing up in a community called Charlene. And I want to show on some people from Charlene. I know what Charlene about. Borough Banton is one of the, Borough was my best friend growing up.
Yeah, man.
Teach me a lot of things, good things and bad things as well. So, Borough was my best friend. Simon, Flap, I have to feel homage, to every one of those folks like Simon, Flap. This is Flap inspiration, and Brian, he was the one that was doing all the inflation of these balloons and stuff. He said, "Don't say he blew," and the thing was he inflated it. So, but these are my brothers and my friends. But all these folks and stuff and everything was part of my history and part of, my grit. And that's, those are the folks that and friends that that continue to challenge me, continue to lift me, and my I always say my fans and my friends always there to cheer me on. It's extremely important. So here the point. It says, "From grit to glory, the rise of Charlene's sun. In Charlene's shadows, where the sun fought through haze, barefoot dreams wandered down unpaved ways. Concrete cracked beneath hopes yet untold, but even in the dust, a warrior hearts turned gold. Zinc roofs huffs, hum in songs of rain and strife." Can we get
Yo.
all right. But in the dust, a warrior hearts turns gold. Zinc roofs hum songs of rain and strife. Each drops lesson in the school of life. Mama voice, strong like a steel in the storm. Boy, you were built to rise, not to conform. Boy, you were built to rise, and I want to mention it, not to conform. That's important. Hunger was more than an ache in my chest. It was fuel, a whisper. Be your very best. No silver spoons, only callous hands. Yet I carved vision like footprints in the sand. Rejected once, but my story was rewritten. Mama knocked doors until they took note. She was my superpower, my fire, my fight. Her love lit torches through the darkest night. Brick by brick, I built my climb, from Charlene's grit to towers that shine. From the corners where boys dream and stall, to boardrooms where my voice echoes tall. Now I speak where giants lead to hair. Global stages is where I stand without fear. No longer confined, streets without story. I wear my scars like a medal of glory. From the ghetto's grip to corporate reign, through storms of doubt and rivers pain. Each step, each fall, a chapter, a song. Prove that where you start is not where you belong. So let them know the truth, bold and free, that greatness was always rooted in me. From grit to glory, I've broken the mold. A Charlene son, now leading the world. And this really encapsulates, what the book about. The book actually walks through and navigate through my beginnings, my early beginnings, in where I had an entrepreneurial spirit, and anything that I learned, if it was through planting callaloo, was selling box juice in the, on the street, and bag juice in the market, selling plums at my high school, to my first job, with an architect, Mr. Darrow and Miller, to working at Jamaica Public Service, the power company in Jamaica. Everything was all a lesson, and to create everything that I'm doing now. And every one of those planted those seeds that I needed to succeed. Came to England, with a dream. Written maybe over 200 application letters, and with about maybe 198 rejection letters. So there wasn't a lot of people who were saying yes, but that didn't still, stop my drive. I did everything. I worked at Johnson of London magazine company in a Justin Edmonton Green right there for, £4 an hour. And for me that was enough at that time, but it teach me and a lot of lessons in terms of how to deal with different customers and customer service that I use even today. So don't let your start, don't let, whatever you're given in terms of challenges and stuff, just use that as a lesson, to build, your repertoire and build your armor, so that when the battle, draw nigh, you're ready. And that's what I do, so I work at British Gas doing customer service until, one day I was in the bus, coming from training British Gas, and saw an ad in the Evening Standard that, for environmental engineer at a company called Tucker's Consultants. I remember going to the interview and talking to, being interviewed, and I remember, the guy named was Barry Shamrock, can't forget. He said, what type of salary are you looking for? And I said, I don't know, whatever you want to pay me, because it's an engineering job. I didn't care what do you want to pay me. He said, would £8 an hour do? I said, well, that's great, I'll take it. And that's where it started. When I walked out of the office, the receptionist said to me, hey, Mr. Hamilton, do you know that the minimum they were offering for the job was £12 an hour? I said, I know, that's fine. I just wanted a job. I just wanted to start. I just wanted to be on the ladder and start my engineering career. In 3 months, my salary, was doubled, because I actually showed them what I actually could do. So I wasn't daunted by the fact that I've been lowballed. That didn't trouble me. I just wanted to start my career and get somewhere. In 6 months, I was being paid, $25,000, pounds, a year. And at that time, that was a lot of money. So, and, in about a year, my boss came to me and said, hey, why don't you think about doing your master's? We'll pay for it. Wow. Doors start opening that you didn't even understand that. My ambition was to come and do my master's here in engineering. And I was offered, to do it for free. So those are some of the stuff that you do. Like when I completed my first year of my master's degree, I was contacted by a American company by phone to say, hey, we have an opportunity and a job for you, but we would love to interview you. And I'm like, is somebody pranking me? Like, why? I'm just like, I don't even have the experience, But that call came. I went for the interview. Subsequently, I went to 4 interviews. It was a company called Leverage Communication, and they were building data centers all over Europe. Name the city. They were building a network. They were building a transatlantic network to Japan, to China, and to the U.S. And they offered me the job. And one of the requirements of the job, I actually just completed 1 year of my master's. One of the requirements of the job is that I would have to quit my master's. So I had 1 year left, and I said to them, no, I'll go back to my old job. I'm not going to do this. And they said to me, what do I need to, what do I need to convince you to come and work with us? I said, I have a day release. On Wednesday, I go to South Bank University. That's where I'm doing my master's. I'll still, have to work, only 4 days a week. And they said, okay. And they said, well, we'll have to reduce your salary. And I said, no. I said, I'll go back to my old job. I said, I'll just keep my old job. And they said, okay, I'll pay you the same salary to work 4 days a week until you completed your course. So I challenged them, and it worked. But then basically I was working for a company that was exceptional and was building all the way in Europe. The first day I walked into the job, the next week my boss said to me, hey, here's a travel agent number. We want you to be in Paris on Monday. What? Like, it's amazing. And I remember I was trying to find a hotel to stay, and they're like, oh yeah, we always stay at the Hilton that's next to the Eiffel Tower. I'm like, what? Like, this is exceptional. Like, they're sending me to work, and I'm like, I remember, so that was my first trip to Paris with the job. And then subsequently for the next 2 years, I was flying 2-3 times a week. Munich, Düsseldorf, Hamburg, Brussels, Amsterdam, Paris, Milan, Rome, name it. It's like in-flight magazine. I couldn't even believe my luck as a little, young kid, from Charlotte, Jamaica, flying the world and basically, having the experience and of a lifetime, and just basically doing a job, learning a whole lot, and just really sucking everything that I can, and really learning on the fly, and really, gaining a whole lot of experience. But also in doing that, that's when I was actually able to help more of my friends. To be honest, so I didn't take that success and keep it. That's when I basically spread my arms out and said, how many, I can help more people. And every one of those folks that can tell you that I was there for them for absolutely anything that they wanted. I was there. If it was the lawyer they need, I'm there. If it was, school that they need to do, I'm there. That's something that I wanted to share. Because I thought that, it's not by chance that I've been put into those positions. It's by blessings. So that's what you have to understand. Those gifts comes with condition. Comes with condition that you have to actually pay forward and pay back. That's part of the gift. And in doing that, it swings from entrepreneurial. My first entrepreneurial opportunity was to build an apartment complex in my community, which I call Hamilton Estate. Something I remember when I started and came out of foundation, people started to laugh at me because basically when the first rain fell, they couldn't see any blocks or anything. It was like water. They were like, this guy's a madman. Like, it's a pool, it's a pond. Like, how could he build something there? And that was the first apartment complex in that area. When it was completed, and maybe a year later, I could tell you, on the whole block, it's all apartment complex now. So I was maybe way before my time in terms of understanding, but that wasn't something that I came up with. That's what I'm telling you, that when blessings comes, the vision's open that you don't understand. You listen and you act. And that's what I did. And that's what I did, and that's what I keep doing. You know, the vision keep coming to me. You know, worked here for a number of years. I got my chartered engineer, and then the U.S. calls. Like, I just put my resume online one day, just messing around. Immediately I got a call. Not even 2 hours after putting my resume on, a whole site called Monster.com. I got a call from a company in Virginia and said, "Mr. Hamilton, would you mind coming for an interview in America?" And I'm like, and they're like, I'm like, well, would you, what does that entail? They're like, we'll pay for your flight and your hotel and your expenses. Wow, like, the least I can get out of this holiday. I'm like, if I go and they don't even give me the job, I get my hotel paid, I can eat at whatever restaurant that I want to eat. I could see my friends as well. So it's just like, that was it, you know, so there's absolutely nothing to lose. I went to the US, they offered me the job on the spot. On the spot. You know, and, you know, I basically came back in 3 months, quit my job, and moved there. And, you know, started, you know, again, it wasn't easy, because I'm going to explain something to you. In the US, the units are completely different. They use, okay, if I'm asking you the temperature, what it is outside, you're like, oh yeah, it's 70 degrees. Okay, that's Fahrenheit, Celsius. Inches and feet, yards. You know, so it's completely different. I'm an engineer. So all the units and everything that I used to know and stuff and everything don't even make any sense. I don't even understand it. So I literally have to relearn a whole lot of stuff when I get back. So, you know, although, you know, they did pay me much more when I go there, but I had to learn. I had to relearn a whole lot of stuff. I was a chartered engineer when I went there. When I went to the US, they said, well, we don't accept UK chartered engineer here, so you would have to do your chartered all the way over. So this is like 8 years that I did. They're telling me that it doesn't matter. I have to do their exam in order to get my, what they call a professional engineering license. So I had to basically learn their system extremely quick, and basically study it as hard as I can with, you know, in their standards and their, you know, way to do things, and do an exam all over again. Did that, you know, excel, and basically, you know, to be honest, the rest was history, because I found healthcare, and healthcare engineering is something that I enjoy doing. I design and build hospitals. I remember moving from the company that hired me to a massive company called Smith Group. And when I was going there, my boss said to me, he's like, "Why are you going there? You will never be a project manager there. They don't, you know, they don't value engineers," because it was an architecture company with a small engineering arm. And he said, "Yeah, you're going to be wasting your time." Like, I'll take the chance. You know, so I did, took the chance. And it's funny, not even 2 years from going there, I became a project manager. The salary that they didn't want to give me, I was getting, the moment I went there, I was getting $20,000 more than what they were paying. Not going to tell you that there wasn't challenges. You know, they fired my boss. I remember afterwards there for 2.5 years. And, you know, fired him, and he was teaching me everything that I know about healthcare, and that's something that I wanted to learn. And, you know, I remember, like, you know, well, this man is great. This man, you know, people love him and stuff and everything. But, you know, he had the altercation that, you know, with one of the partners, and they didn't like how he operates and stuff. And he think that, you know, he went behind their back to talk to the CEO about certain stuff that he shouldn't. They fired him. This was a partner, somebody who was, you know, was a partner for the firm. Fired him, and I remember one of the guy came to me and he said, "Are you going to leave with him?" Like, he's like, "I don't think you should, but I think this is the opportunity for you, because there was nobody in that lane. He's gone now. It's time for me to step up and actually do that role." And I remember I stepped up. I was leading the healthcare projects. You know, at the time I had 6 years experience, but I was building a brand new hospital in Mississippi. 280,000 square feet, 150 beds. Never done it in my life, but it's something that I'm willing to take on. Did it 2 years basically without even a salary increase. So this is somebody that they hired. I was working twice my salary, and I stepped in that position, and did that job for 2 years without even a salary increase. I wasn't daunted by it. I know they were exploiting me, but I was okay with that because I was learning. I was learning something that was invaluable because not a lot of people and not a lot of engineers can say, I actually designed a whole hospital that I led. It's challenging, but that was something that basically I was able to show a lot of folks that are, out of different offices what I'm made of and what I can do. In 3 years, I was made an associate with the firm, and the 4th year I was made a partner. So the same thing that they said that I couldn't achieve, I doubled down. I was the first black partner for the firm who was 187 years old in the US. First black partner. I was taken into a room when I made partner by a black guy and said to me, do you know what you just achieved? And I'm like, no, because I wasn't thinking about it. He said, do you know that you were the first partner, black person partner for Smith Group? I didn't know. So that's something that basically, sparked me on also. And I'm like, wow, this is extremely cool. But I didn't stop there because what I wanted to do, I realized when I was put on the management team for the company I was in a circle and in a group of people now that had influence. And what I was able to do to say, you know what? I don't want to be alone here. I'm going to bring other folks with me who are black just like me to be partners. And before I leave the firm, and I did leave like 4 years after, I had 3 people, one, there was 2 Jamaicans and 1 person from Trinidad who were partners of this firm who it took 170 years for them to actually name one. But I was there to fight with those folks because I saw that they had the opportunity and the ability, but they didn't have the people to fight for them inside. So that's something I do, and something that I actually, I continue to do. I fight for my folks because I know that the white folks is fighting with their folks, the Indians and the Chinese is fighting with their folks. So whenever you get the opportunity, you have to do that. So I left, went to a company called WSP. They headhunted me. When I went to WSP, I was able to lead a company. WSP was 70,000 people worldwide. I was the first black person to lead their healthcare for healthcare. I started WSP with a revenue of $45 million in healthcare, and in my lead, before I leave, 8 years later, we're doing $125 million. So so it's like 155% increase in revenue. That's something that's never been done in the industry. Building a healthcare engineering firm was not something that was ever done. So that's something that I did, and again, in doing that, another company called Trova came and headhunted me again and said, I want you to hire an executive, to lead North America for growth for the firm, and that's where I'm now. So this is a quick, synopsis about my career. And not only that, so in doing that, there's a lot of stuff that I've achieved entrepreneurially. I built a second apartment complex. I'm part of a real estate investment firm that we just completed 2 buildings in Jamaica. Part of a private equity firm that we invest in healthcare. We bought 2 hospitals. We have apartment complex. We have a marketing firm that's part of it. So there's a lot of stuff that I do that's separate from my 9-to-5 job. And maybe it's 9 to 5, it's 9 to 9. I just work. That's something that I always do. But what I think, as a part of that, one of my greatest achievements was forming in 2007, I formed my own nonprofit organization called DTR Foundation, which is Dreams to Reality Foundation, in which I help kids, from underprivileged kids. I do mentorship, I do scholarships, name it, I do it. And this book, 100% of the proceeds of this book goes to my nonprofit organization. So not a dollar that I make of this book is going to me. This year I've given away over $25,000 in scholarships. And I tell you a story. There's a kid, who he came to my book launch to talk to me, and his father actually, is from the ghetto community behind our apartment complex, and he was the head boy for Manning's, the school that I went, high school that I went, and his father was one of the most notorious gangsters in the community. But this kid is something else. So he actually sent his result from his A-levels 3 weeks ago to me, and he got through directly to do law at the University of West Indies. And last night I was actually with the president of the university, Dr. Dennis Williams, and what I did, reach out to the president and I said, how can we help this kid? You know, we have this kid that his parents don't have any money, he got through the law, straight and stuff. We're able to get together and put the foundation, we're able to fund, his 100% scholarship so that he can complete law. Not only that, my business partner, has a law firm, and he'll be working at that law firm every holiday in summer until he's completed his law degree. And that's what we do. We try to figure out how we can help and how we can lift people from the community and people who can't afford it. And I'm gonna challenge you that if you can reach back and help one person in your community, wherever it is, one, just one, you'll be doing something that will make me extremely happy, but not only me. The Lord Jesus Christ, is the one who challenged us to not to reach back and make sure that we don't leave behind. It's something that we absolutely have to do. It's something that should be a part of us. That's something that should be a part of your life. So giving back is something that makes me extremely happy. It's something that puts solid energy and really give me back multiples blessings that I can't understand. Don't try to understand because I know where it's come from. So I'm going to say to you is that, listen, it doesn't matter where you start, it doesn't matter your midpoint. It matters how you forward and push forward. It matters how you reach back and help when you get the opportunity. It matters how you show up every day as your true, authentic self. And when you do it, you will rise in ways that you will never imagine. And that's how I rose from grit to glory.